Welcome back to another episode of the AtoZ of A with Command AV. Now, in the last episode we spoke about speakers. As you can see, we're wearing the same clothes because we're recording this straight after, because we have done no videos for a long time, so we want to get a few out. You didn't need to know that.
Really, I've just been wearing the exact same clothes all week.
Yeah. This episode is on the letter T, which stands for
Televisions.
and televisions. So tell me, televisions, what do you know? What do you don't know? What do we need to know? How do we know it?
They're no longer black and white only. What? I know, revelation.
I like this.
They are also a lot flatter than they were 15 or 20 years ago.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get wallpaper TVs now. Have you seen those?
Yeah, that's crazy.
We've not installed any because people generally don't want them or can't afford them, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Or in-wall TVs. TVs is completely flush on the wall.
We do a lot of
That's
those.
pretty cool. So yeah, that's
Okay.
TVs.
So
What's the ideal sized TV?
yeah, the ideal size TV, it depends on your viewing distance. So the way we kind of calculate TV size is you take the viewing distance, you take that, cut it in half, that's your diagonal.
So for instance, if you were sat 120 inches or 10 feet from the TV, half of that is 60 inches. So you should have an approximately 60-inch TV for optimal viewing experience. But as you don't really get 60-inch TVs, that's either a 55 or a 65. So you go
Go
up
with
or
the
down.
65.
Sure.
Bigger is better.
Yeah. More bright, more colours, more entertainment.
Yeah. Plus now with today's TV technology, you see a lot less pixels, so it doesn't matter so much if the TV's slightly larger than specified.
Especially seeing as you can get a 65-inch TV in 8K resolution now.
Yeah, should we talk about 8K?
We should talk about 8K. There is no 8K content, so
Buy 8K TVs if you like, but
at your own discretion.
you'll be paying a lot of money for nothing at the moment, and then by the time there is enough 8K content, the same with 4K,
Yeah.
we advise the same thing. By the time that 8K content is available, the 8K TVs would be half the price. So I would advise going with 4K still, stick with that, and then consider an upgrade in the future.
Plus, by the time 8K becomes affordable, this can be 12K, and then there's going to be a whole new debate about what everyone should or shouldn't be buying.
I mean,
But, you know, it is what it is. TV sizes aside, not all TVs are created equal.
no.
Some TVs are expensive for a reason, so they are like the artsy-fartsy TVs, like those created by
Leather.
some B&O TVs, and Samsung have a range of art gallery-esque TVs.
The picture frame TVs.
Not just the picture frame, they also have I think they call it the stand.
The portrait stand ones.
Yeah,
They look
so-
like a canvas painting
Yeah,
put on a, what's that thing called?
easel.
Easel.
Yeah, which is a bit weird for a TV, but you know, if you're going to use it in some sort of an art installation or an exhibition, for instance, yeah, brilliant. Good looking TV. Pay a lot of money for it, but good looking TV.
Whilst we're on the subject of those picture frame TVs, do remember if you're going to buy one of those, you may need some building works, because if you want that flat on the wall, they come with a box that's like that big and it needs to go somewhere. It's not as straightforward as just buying a TV and hanging that on the wall and plugging it in. There's a bit more to do.
There's work involved, basically.
It's easy enough if you've got a plasterboard wall, if it's hanging on a stud wall, but if you're planning on maybe putting on over a chimney, over a fireplace on a chimney breast, that gets complicated.
So TV sizes and prettiness and features aside, for us as integrators, not all TVs are created equal, because some TVs, they are just traditional TVs as far as control is concerned, where you can only use a infrared remote to control them, which obviously means having to stick a little II emitter on the front which flashes, and it's just not pretty.
And it would surprise you the kind of brands that still do that. So some of the smaller TVs of some of the most well-known brands are made differently to the larger versions.
They're made in different factories, basically using cheaper hardware, purely because the brand manufacturers in their primary factories, they are concentrating on creating and producing the latest and greatest. They don't want to invest any time having to produce or work with older hardware or smaller hardware, because that's not where they make their money, basically.
The fact that they're created in a different factory shouldn't really affect you, but as from an integrator standpoint, some of these TVs don't have, for instance, something quite common amongst most TVs now is IP control. You have to add an IR bug, which is a little flashy thing that sits on the front of the TV to send the commands to it to tell it what to do. And whereas IP control, our system talks to it over the network. You don't see anything then. So yeah, it just makes the whole install a bit messier than it should be.
Messy is probably a bit of an over-exaggeration.
It can get messy if, because TVs warm up and the glue that sticks the IR bugs on the front of the TV melts and the thing falls off, and then you wonder why you can't control your TV, and it's generally because
there's something dangling on the front of the TV. Stop calling TVs smart TVs. It's like people still calling mobile phones smartphones. All mobile phones are smartphones now, and it's only as smart as the user that uses it. Let's face it.
Plus, there's different levels of smart. Is it smart or is it smart? You know, does it have all of the apps that another TV has? They're not all created equal. Some of the best TVs with the most functionality are the Android TVs, the Sony Android TVs. They're really cool. But then there's other brands. The app variety that you have on them are limited. Get a Roku.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that about covers it for TVs.
How about the Apple TV? That's not a TV. Stop calling it Apple TV.
Yeah.
Oh, how do we put a TV on the wall?
Blue tack? Command
Super glue.
strips.
No, we use a TV bracket generally. I say generally. I think all the time we would use a TV bracket,
but even TV brackets come in infinite sizes, shapes, and types. So that could form a video in its own right.
that'll do.
Yeah.
So that about wraps it up for TVs. Thank you for joining us.
So next week we'll be looking at the letter U, which stands for
User interfaces.
So that's everything from touch panels, remote controls, control apps, i.e. like control system apps, and
That's about it.
keypads. Yeah.
Keypads.
Because keypads can be multifunctional. They don't just have to control lights. They can control music, TVs,
Now,
etc.
do voice command platforms count as a user interface?
There's a good question. We'll discuss it next week.